everyone, and welcome to the Fake Love and Flying Monkeys mini podcast. My name is Nova Gibson and I am your host. As an expert on coercive control and narcissistic abuse in domestic violence relationships, my goal, my desire in these podcasts is to support victims and survivors and their families. So please hit that follow button, subscribe to this channel so you never miss another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fake Love and Flying Monkeys. Today we're answering the question around whether you should take the narcissist in your life to counselling. Now, so many people talk to me about their experiences around what has happened when they have gone to counselling with the person they now recognise is a narcissist. And of course, when they're doing this, it's coming from a place of love normally, and they're looking for solutions. They don't understand what's going on and they're feeling crazy. And of course, they think that a relationship expert will be able to help them with the communication, in inverted commas, problems they are having in their marriage, as well as many other issues that are going on. Now, when we talk about their experience, inevitably, I hear so many commonalities in their stories, which is that the counselling went terribly. In other words, nothing was resolved, and more likely than not, the victim was re-traumatized, re-victimized, as the narcissist just sat there and lied. Now, because of the covert abuse and the slow, insidious wearing down of the victim's boundaries and their ability to trust their instincts, so often the victim doesn't even realize that what they're experiencing is abuse. So when these issues crop up, they look at them as relationship issues, and they think that if they get a third party in, that their partner or their parent, if it's an abusive parent, will listen to the counselor or the psychologist. They've also been conditioned to apportion blame to themselves. They've been told that they're the crazy one, or they're at least partly responsible for the issues, because it takes two to tango, right? And there's always two sides to every story. And because they're so desperate for answers and to work out why the things are happening in their relationship that are going on that just don't make sense, that they'll do anything to fix those problems. And if you think that you're partly to blame and that you really do have some issues like anxiety and depression, the normal things that people suffer when they're in an abusive relationship, if you think that you really do have some issues yourself, then it's easy to think that these are relationship issues and that you just need the right support to be able to sort things out and get back to that place that you were with this person when they were love bombing you or pretending to be that nice person that you fell in love with or that you loved. So the counselling will be initiated in a number of ways, normally because the victim is just exhausted and is just looking for any kind of support to be able to survive this relationship. And so they booked the appointment. And of course, their abuser, wasting no opportunities to flip the blame onto the victim, reluctantly says, yes, okay, I'll go, but it's to sort out what you're doing in this relationship. But, I'm willing to do the right thing and tag along if that's what you want. So they will make out like they're doing you this massive favor and that you should be grateful that they're going to counselling with you, which is something that you want, and they're going because you've asked them. They're doing you a favor. Or the abuser will make the appointment when it's really obvious that the victim is starting to pull away, and they start grasping at straws, not because they love their partner and they finally see the light, but they want to retain control of their victim. So they book the appointment, and it appears to the victim that the narcissist is finally starting to see the light, and they want to work towards fixing whatever is going on in the relationship. And that appears as a good thing to the victim. So they both attend in that situation. And of course, the narcissist does what narcissists do, whether the victim has made the appointment or they have. The narcissist lies, and they concoct a story where they are the victim, and the true victim is the abuser in the situation. In other words, they will engage in what we call DAVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Now, in the thousands of clients I have counseled, victims of narcissistic abuse, I have never heard of a situation where the narcissist and their victim attended relationship counseling and it was a positive thing, something that resulted in long-term changes, accountability, and a reflection on their behavior. Because, of course, if those changes occurred and the narcissist were to take accountability, then they wouldn't be a narcissist. To that abusive, toxic person, the counseling session is simply another way to extend the domestic violence and to manipulate the counselor, the psychologist, the therapist. They manipulate them into believing that these are relationship issues, or that it's all the victim's fault, and have that professional siding with them. You can imagine what it's like for the victim when they finally get their day, so to speak, with someone they think will be able to help them. And all of a sudden, that professional seems to be aligning with the abuser and has no understanding of what the true victim has gone through or is going through. The victim, hearing the lies of the abuser as they shed crocodile tears even, will become frustrated. They will cry themselves. They will become frantic. And when they engage these normal reactions, these emotions come to a head, then it looks like the narcissist is right to the therapist. And it seems that the volatile victim is indeed the one with all the issues in the relationship. The re-victimization, the re-traumatizing of the victim goes to another level when the therapist actually says to them, maybe you should come and see me on your own. You seem to be, exhibiting some really high levels of anxiety and possibly other things. And, maybe we should have a talk on our own about what's going on for you. Clearly, they are believing what is happening with the relationship in terms of the narcissist making out that they are the victim. And when the victim is asked to come and see the therapist on their own, it's usually because the therapist believes that they are the one with the problems. Rarely will it be because that therapist has actually seen what's going on, although I have heard of this happening where they call the victim in to basically tell them to run. But for the most part, the victim just has to experience a double whammy of abuse when essentially the therapist they're paying to help them doesn't believe them. Now, I'm not saying for a second that any therapist will do this intentionally. What I am saying is that narcissists pretty much have a PhD in manipulation, and they know exactly what to say. And when they can manipulate a professional, it's such a huge ego boost to them that they can actually turn the perceptions around of this professional to, I guess, believe that they are the victim and to support their notion, their story of what they believe is going on in the relationship. I'm not saying that a therapist would intentionally support the actual abuser in any way, but the narcissist is just so incredibly manipulative, and the true victim just so emotional and vulnerable that the narcissist is actually able to get the victim to show the reactions, the exact reactions the narcissist knows will support their lie, which is the victim is the erratic, volatile one. So you will know if you attended counselling with a narcissist, if you manage to keep going and keep your sanity in any capacity for several sessions, you will know that it is just fruitless. Things just went round and round in circles and nothing was achieved because there was no accountability from the narcissist. And of course, at this stage, the victim doesn't know who they're dealing with. So they're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to persevere and hopefully get their partner, to have that light bulb moment. But if you do manage to go for several sessions, it will eventually come to a halt where the narcissist will either say, oh, this is useless. Nothing's happening here. They're not saying that, I've got any problems or, we just need to sort out our communication. We can do that on our own. We don't need a therapist to tell us that. Or if you manage to find a therapist who does see through things, and of course, they try and make the narcissist accountable. Now, even when they're being their most diplomatic, if they are addressing the narcissist's problematic behavior, the narcissist is going to suffer a major narcissistic injury, and they will not go back. They will race out of that session. They'll walk out and they'll tell you, we're never going to counselling again. We're definitely never going back to that counsellor because they were biased to you. It was so obvious. Once again, the victim's ability to trust their instincts has been eroded away, and they buy into the fact sometimes that maybe that counsellor was a little biased, that they did seem to be supporting me a lot, and they'll find another therapist. If the narcissist is a man, perhaps they'll go and find a male psychologist if they were seeing a woman, thinking that, okay, they can't say that, it was because this therapist was a woman, they were siding with me, and I found a man, so they've got to be happy with that. But once again, if you manage to get them to go and that therapist points out the narcissist's behaviors that are toxic, that criticism the narcissist feels is like throwing acid in their face, and the same thing will happen. And most likely you'll never get them to attend again. But it's win-win for the narcissist and lose-lose for you, the victim, because the narcissist will say something like, well, I did what you wanted me to do. I went to counselling. I put myself through that and nothing was achieved. It was a total waste of money. So I don't care what you say. I've done what you want, but we're not going back again. So it's easy to say this in hindsight when you've had your light bulb moment that you know who you're dealing with now. It's easy for me to say you never, ever go to counselling with a narcissist. But of course, you don't know this at the time. You don't know who you're dealing with. But now that you know, counselling will never work, because counselling for a narcissist, as I said, is just another forum to manipulate the therapist and re-traumatize their victim, and of course further manipulate them by saying that I did what you wanted and you should be grateful. Counselling is never a good idea. And the number one reason why it will never, ever work is because these are not relationship issues. They are issues of abuse. And you should only be going to counselling as a victim of domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, with the hope that a therapist will be telling you how to escape and how to heal from your trauma. And the abuser, if it ever happens, which is unlikely, going to counselling on their own to address the abusive behaviours they engage in. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're still hoping that the narcissist will change, even though you've had your light bulb moment and you think that therapy counselling might be helpful, please stop. You are only going to be further traumatized. The narcissist only ever goes to counselling to manipulate, because if they were to admit that they've got flaws, then that would destroy their grandiose version of themselves, which reflects that they're perfect. And remember that when you go to counselling with a narcissist and you searching for answers and support, pour your heart out to the therapist, then you unknowingly are giving the narcissist more weapons to use against you. And that brings us to the end of another Fake Love and Flying Monkeys mini episode. Thank you so much for listening through to the end. Guys, I hope you found this episode insightful. We talked about going to counseling with a narcissist and what happens and how it ends up re-traumatizing you, and the how and the why that happens. If you would like to find more information on this topic, please have a look at my other social media platforms. And of course, if you'd like to have a one-on-one counseling session with me, just see my website link below. And of course, don't forget to get your copy of my best-selling book, Fake Love, Understanding and Healing from Narcissistic Abuse. On that note, it's goodbye from me for now. Please take care, and until the next episode, remember, you are worthy of love, and you are certainly worthy of a whole lot more than a lifetime of fake love and flying monkeys.